In Sil village, northwest of the Sania kingdom, a young girl who has trained with bows and swords since childhood learns that the village's military focus exists due to its dangerous proximity to the Gaysorn Empire. During training, a large instructor corrects a student named Eins on their sword form, while Eins quietly wonders why they are practicing swordsmanship instead of magic. The instructor scolds Eins for responding too quietly, while Eins gives only a meek, barely audible reply. As the other children train energetically, the instructor crouches beside the unmotivated Eins, pointing out that she likely has talent and urging her to show more effort. Eins demonstrates her only magical ability, conjuring a small flame or a bit of water in her hand, but the instructor dismisses it as mere life magic, useless in combat. The instructor ends the warm-up drills and calls Rajan and Berg to the center for one-on-one mock battles, with the students responding eagerly. Rajan and Berg face each other with wooden swords as the instructor signals the start of their mock battle. The moment the instructor shouts to begin, the two clash in an intense and swift exchange. The other students watch in admiration as the oldest member of the group puts on an impressive performance during the duel. Eins watches the duel unimpressed, noting that a wooden sword would be useless against a fire attack, burning instantly. Eins reasons that since water creation magic exists, earth creation magic must too, and imagines how hardening the ground beneath an opponent's feet could immobilize them and open up countless tactical possibilities. As she plays with her small magic, Eins feels a deep desire to learn more about the world of magic. The instructor calls Sayas and Eins for the next match. Sayas, fired up, declares he won't lose to a slacker like Eins, while she walks to the center lost in her own thoughts about the future. Eins faces Sayas with quiet determination, vowing to prove that she can fight using magic. Sayas wins instantly, leaving Eins defeated on the ground. The watching students murmur in disbelief, questioning both her sanity and her failed attempt to fight with magic. Lying defeated, Eins muses that while medicinal herbs work, she wishes healing magic existed. Walking home, Eins reflects that she at least discovered how to create ice by applying her water magic, though she admits it was more of a happy accident than a real breakthrough. Eins arrives home, announcing her return as her mother welcomes her warmly while busy cooking. Her mother tells her to wash her hands as dinner is almost ready, and Eins obediently complies. Eins casually uses her magic for everyday tasks, conjuring water to wash her hands and then wind magic to dry them. At dinner, her father notices that Eins has suddenly grown, wondering if it's a growth spurt. Her father arrives home, and Eins greets him calmly. Eins's mother scolds her father, Gilga, telling him to stop fooling around and wash his hands before dinner. Gilga gets hit and yelps in pain, having made the mistake of teasing his wife about a bump on her face. Gilga and his wife bicker at the table. She blames him for getting a bump on his head, while he complains that her behavior got him scolded by someone named Lena. Amid the bickering, Eins quietly notices that her father also seems to have grown taller, leaving her puzzled. The family shares a meal together, just another ordinary day. Eins sits happily between her parents, smiling warmly in the comfort of her family. Just an ordinary day for the family. Days pass in quiet routine as night falls over the family home. Eins drifts off to sleep, and tomorrow will come once more. Eins wakes up and sits quietly on her bed in the early morning light. Eins wanders through the house calling for her parents, but receives no answer. Eins trips and falls with a thud, confused and disoriented in the empty house. Eins stands alone in the dark hallway, facing a closed door with light filtering through its edges. Eins opens the door and finds one of her parents collapsed on the ground, frozen in shock. A hand covered in disturbing lesions or wounds is revealed, hinting at something deeply wrong. Eins stares in horror as she realizes it is her mother lying there with those disturbing wounds. Eins freezes in panic, her mind going blank at the sight of her fallen mother. Eins rushes out desperately into the night to seek help. Eins steps outside to find the village engulfed in flames and chaos, with bodies scattered around her. Eins collapses to the ground, overwhelmed by the devastation around her. Amid the chaos, desperate screams fill the air. Villagers cry for help and beg for their children to be saved as horrified screams echo through the burning village. The village burns fiercely as dark figures move through the smoke and flames, attacking the helpless villagers. Among the chaos, Ein spots her fellow trainees Rajan and Berg caught in the devastation. Berg confronts one of the attackers in fury, cursing at them as he fights back. The attacker and Berg clash face to face in a tense and violent confrontation. Both Berg and the attacker fall, bloodied and defeated, the brutal exchange leaving them both critically wounded. Eins watches helplessly from a distance as someone flees across the devastated landscape. Overwhelmed and trembling, Eins can only ask why, as the reality of the tragedy finally sinks in. Two composed and elegantly dressed figures appear amid the destruction, clearly the ones responsible for the attack, carrying themselves with cold indifference. Eins is startled as one of the attackers approaches her, though she finds some relief knowing that Sai has managed to escape. The male attacker launches a powerful magic attack at Eins, sending her flying with tremendous force. Eins crashes to the ground and lies motionless. The attacker crouches over the fallen Eins, eyeing her with unsettling curiosity. Barely conscious, Eins stares wide-eyed at something shocking that catches her attention. The attacker notices Eins is still alive, remarking with a sinister smile that there is still a survivor. The female attacker calls out to Eins, taunting her and questioning whether she intends to do anything at all. The female attacker coldly observes that amid the massacre, as her companions fall one by one, Eins neither resists, begs, cries, nor struggles. She simply stands motionless, blending into the carnage like a ghost. The male attacker sneers at Eins, calling her shameless while noting that at least the others died fighting for something. The female attacker dismisses her partner's words as mere sophistry, noting with intrigue that even after all their taunting, Eins still shows no reaction. The male attacker points his weapon at Eins and coldly declares that in the end, he simply wants to kill people. The female attacker stops him, arguing that simply killing Eins would be too merciful and disrespectful to those who already died. The male attacker raises his hand and invokes an abridged lightning incantation, preparing to strike Eins with magic. In her final moment, Eins murmurs the names of her fallen companions. The male attacker smirks, realizing that this village had no knowledge of sorcery, which explains why everyone died with looks of pure shock on their faces. The female attacker unleashes a devastating magical blast directly at the helpless Eins as the destruction around them intensifies. The female attacker stands amidst the flames and destruction, surveying the devastation she has caused. Eins lies critically wounded as the female attacker cruelly explains that the lightning attack magic will make her die slowly in agony, giving her time to repent for her inaction. As the village burns around her, Eins groans in pain while the female attacker walks away, coldly telling her to repent for her village companions. In the darkness, fragments of Eins's memories surface, cheerful voices of her family calling out to each other. Voices cry out in the darkness, desperately trying to free someone trapped under rubble who is barely breathing. Among the ruins, a man discovers Eins still alive amid the wreckage. The rescuers pull Eins free from the rubble, stunned by what they find. The rescuers conclude that Eins was deliberately left alive by the attackers. 3 days pass. Eins regains consciousness, disoriented and confused about her surroundings. Eins jolts awake, startled as she regains consciousness in an unfamiliar place. Two excited girls rush to alert the others that Eins has woken up, noting that she is burning with fever. Eins sits up in bed, heavily bandaged and silent, while one of the girls named Sirika accidentally drops something in surprise at seeing her awake. A woman enters the room, relieved and grateful that Eins has finally woken up, while Eins remains silent and distant. The woman wonders if Eins can't understand them, though she notes they spoke the same language back in Sil village. The woman gently informs Eins that she is now in Taz village and that Sil village is gone. Eins responds quietly that she already knows. Eins states coldly that she knows everything because she was watching it all happen. The woman reveals that Eins was the only survivor and that when they found her, her arm and leg were already severely injured. Ainz simply replies that she knows. Ainz stares downward, confessing with hollow emptiness that she did nothing. She just watched. Ainz suddenly realizes she can no longer see out of her right eye, as the full extent of her injuries becomes clear. The woman asks Ainz her name, and after confirming it, decides to give her some space to process everything alone. The girl introduces herself as Sirika and her mother as Korea, who promises to bring Ainz breakfast and asks her to rest. Alone, Ainz begins analyzing the magic used in the attack, recalling that the attacker called it attack magic. She wonders whether it requires chance to activate or if there is some other mechanism, and realizes this is exactly what she has been searching for. Staring out the window, Ainz recalls the lightning magic the attacker used and resolves to try replicating it herself. Ainz reasons through her plan. She is skilled at generating water, so the question now is whether she can learn to fire it as a projectile attack. Ainz extends her bandaged hand and attempts to use attack magic, but nothing happens. Ainz tries a different approach, generating water and shaping it into a ball as a starting point. Channeling the memory of the attacker, Ainz thrusts her hand forward and fires the water ball as a projectile. Ainz succeeds, barely able to contain her shock and excitement as she realizes she has just performed attack magic for the first time. Ainz fires multiple water projectiles in rapid succession, the blasts tearing through the room around her. Driven by determination, Ainz pushes further, willing her magic to grow bigger and visualizing it with intense focus. Ainz realizes that having witnessed the attacker use magic makes it far easier to visualize and replicate, and sets her sights on mastering fire next. Korea enters the room, calling Ainz's name, and brings her a bowl of hot soup. Ainz raises her hand with fierce intensity. Unleashing a flame, she declares will reduce everything to ash. Ainz stands with her back turned as a massive explosion of smoke and debris erupts before her, the shockwave filling the air around her. Ainz recoils in pain, crying out that it's hot, and frantically tells herself she has to extinguish it. Ainz douses the flames with a burst of water, extinguishing the fire with a loud splash. Ainz sits quietly, staring down at her soup bowl, the word fire echoing in her mind as she reflects on what just happened. Viewed from above, the room is in complete disarray, debris scattered everywhere, while Ainz lies curled up on the bed and Sirika crouches on the floor, visibly startled by the destruction. Still reeling from the heat, Ainz has an epiphany. She realizes that what matters most in magic is the accuracy of one's imagination. Ainz, heavily bandaged, reflects with cold intrigue. Recalling the words the attacker muttered during the assault, she theorizes that incantations may serve to reinforce and sharpen the magical image. Ainz turns to Sirika and asks if she knows anything about life magic, clarifying she means magic in general. Sirika admits she knows a little, while a startled reaction fills the background. Sirika asks why Ainz wants to know, and Ainz responds simply that she wants to learn, though she quickly clarifies that isn't quite what she meant. Ainz asks Sirika directly if she would be willing to teach her everything she knows about magic. Sirika pushes back, questioning why Ainz isn't worried about her own body, her family, her friends, or even Sil village, pointing out that the moment she woke up, all she could think about was magic. Ainz simply responds with a quiet, hello. Sirika declares that Ainz will live with them as her little sibling. Her parents already agreed. Ainz is 6. Sirika is 12. Sirika declares she must be strong. She was the one who found Ainz near death and holds a special place in her heart because of it. 2 years later, Ainz sits in a wheelchair on a calm, sunny day, exchanging quiet words with Sirika nearby. Nearby children notice Ainz and mockingly call her an outsider. Sirika erupts in fury, throwing rocks and demanding they leave the village, while the children scatter in panic, calling her crazy. Ainz watches silently from her wheelchair. Sirika checks on Ainz, who brushes it off calmly, noting the cold weather, but saying she dressed warmly as Korea advised. Ainz admits quietly that she feels nothing. Sirika announces they have arrived at their destination. Sirika pushes Ainz through a quiet rural path, muttering that Ainz really doesn't seem to care about anything. The two sit together beneath a large tree in an open field, small beneath the vast sky. Eins practices magic from her wheelchair, firing projectiles at a target in the field. Eins asks for an open space to practice magic, and Sirika recalls being captivated watching her and bringing her to this spot for that reason. Eins thanks Sirika and confirms it's their usual spot. Sirika heads to her own spot nearby to continue knitting. Sirika knits quietly, remarking that you get used to it. Eins thanks Sirika, saying she had a good practice session today because of her. Sirika warmly replies as she wheels Eins back along the path. Sirika spots something and asks what it is, catching Eins's attention. Eins senses something is wrong as a group of people approaches in the distance. Evan reveals that some children went into the forest and never came back. Eins reacts with alarm, knowing the forest at night is dangerous. Eins grimly notes that magical beasts roam the forest at night. The men arm themselves and prepare to enter the forest, while Sirika rushes home with Eins to grab their gear. Eins calmly tells Evan and Sirika to go ahead without her, assuring them she can get home on her own. Alone, Eins quietly wonders about the magical beasts lurking in the forest at night. Eins smirks, noting that magical beasts can use magic too. Evan calls out to Eins, asking her to wait at home with Korea while he and Sirika head out. Eins agrees quietly. Alone, Eins begins reciting a formal incantation, declaring that nothing will stop her from pressing forward. The villagers are startled as Eins shoots past them at high speed in her wheelchair. Eins launches herself out of the wheelchair and propels forward using magic, leaving the villagers baffled behind her. Eins charges forward at full speed, her wheelchair tearing through the ground with fierce magical force. Eins reaches the edge of the dark forest and plunges in alone. Eins rolls slowly through the dark, silent forest alone. Eins notes it's her first time in the forest and reminds herself to be careful. Eins quietly casts a spell to search for enemies. In the darkness, Eins recites a formal incantation, asking for eyes to save her from blindness. The spell reveals the surroundings, and Eins is taken aback. There are a lot of them. Eins spots a large magical beast lurking right beside her. Unfazed, Eins calmly warns that her water magic isn't gentle, and unleashes Water Cutter against the beast. The beast is torn apart by the attack, collapsing in a spray of blood as Eins watches calmly from her wheelchair. Elsewhere in the forest, Evan struggles against a beast, wounded and reaching his limit as a shield. He urges Sirika to strike now. Sirika delivers a powerful slash, cutting the beast down in one decisive strike. The rescued children praise Sirika and Evan for defeating the beast, though the two admit it was a hard fight. 2 against 1, and they still struggled. Evan warns that this is just the beginning. Going deeper means facing the beasts in hordes. He also admits he's worried about where Eins is. Sirika catches her breath, noting they never saw Eins again after that. Sirika and Evan resolve to find Eins immediately. If she's still in the forest, they must rescue her as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Eins lets out a quiet, satisfied chuckle. Eins muses with mild disappointment that despite encountering so many beasts, not a single one used magic, and quietly accepts that's just how it is. A close-up of Eins's face, her expression distant and unreadable. Eins spots a cabin deep in the forest and pauses. Eins rolls cheerfully through a field of defeated beasts, humming to herself, the carnage around her a testament to her overwhelming power. Eins approaches the cabin, small against the looming structure deep in the forest. Eins notices that the beasts surrounding the cabin refuse to enter it, and that the area around it is completely free of magical beast tracks. Intrigued, Eins enters the cabin, sensing something magical about it. Inside, Eins finds the missing children, but they're disappointed it's her, muttering that of all people, it had to be the useless one. Eins notes she has many questions about the cabin, but sets them aside for now, telling the children they should all return to the village together. Eins urges them to hurry, reminding them that Evan and the others are risking their lives searching for them. The children refuse, scoffing at following someone useless through a forest full of magical beasts. Eins picks up both children at once, leaving them stunned and speechless. One of the children lets out a startled cry. Eins wheels away from the cabin with the children in tow, disappearing into the dark forest. Surrounded by beasts, the children panic and blame Eins for their imminent death. Eins tells them flatly to stop being so noisy. Eins unleashes her magic, cutting down the beasts in an instant and leaving the children speechless. Eins invokes an abridged incantation, Eternal Hell. A devastating explosion of ice shards obliterates everything around them. Sirica and Evan arrive just in time to witness the destruction, completely stunned. The other villagers arrive to find a massive beast looming, but Eins stands calmly at the center of the chaos, unfazed. The massive beast is torn apart, obliterated in an instant. Everyone stands in stunned silence, staring at the aftermath of Eins's magic, the forest reduced to a frozen wasteland around them. Sirica smacks Eins on the head, then pulls her into a relieved embrace. The group makes their way back together through the devastated, snow-covered forest. Kuria embraces the rescued children with relief, while the villagers reunite warmly. Eins wheels away alone, watching from a distance with a quiet, gentle expression. The children approach Eins, apologizing for mocking her and thanking her for saving them. The children and villagers alike admit they saw Eins as nothing more than a useless outsider and ask for her forgiveness. Eins stays silent. Eins deflects their gratitude, admitting she is just a freeloader and that even tonight, she only entered the forest to selfishly pursue her study of magic. Adding that being thanked makes her feel bad. Sirica beams with excitement, marveling that Eins, who is always so indifferent to others, is actually capable of feeling guilt. Even Evan is moved, saying he's simply glad their bond has grown to this point. Sirica and Evan declare that Eins is already a true member of Ta's village, met with cheers from everyone around. Eins sits quietly, puzzled by an unfamiliar warmth spreading in her chest, unsure what to make of it. Eins suddenly announces she is going to live alone in the forest from now on. Eins explains she found a cabin perfect for studying sorcery and wants to pursue magic there, leaving everyone stunned. Eins hesitates, then admits she also wants to atone for what happened to Sil village and to contribute to everyone in Ta's village. The villagers burst into warm laughter, teasing Eins about her obsessive passion for research, while affectionately calling her their own Eins. Evan gives his blessing, saying that single-mindedness is what makes Eins who she is. Sirica admits she won't stop her, but confesses it'll be a little lonely. The villagers warmly tell Eins to visit whenever she's in trouble, and to show her face once in a while even if she doesn't need anything, though the children are firmly banned from the forest. Eins smiles softly. Beneath a vast starry sky, Eins thanks everyone from the heart. A serene view of the cabin in the forest, Eins's new home. Eins steps inside, the floorboards creaking beneath her, the cabin's interior filled with books and tools, ready for her research. Eins confronts someone in the cabin, declaring her full name, Eins Sylvitas. Eins calmly acknowledges she is a useless cripple, one-eyed, one-armed, one-legged. But Eins stands tall and confident, declaring that she is skilled enough at magic to call herself a sorcerer. Chapter 2 opens with Eins humming cheerfully to herself as she emerges from the forest for the first time in a while, only to stop in her tracks, caught off guard by something unexpected waiting for her outside. Eins returns to Ta's village after years away and quietly observes how much the place has changed. Eins walks through the village when someone nearby freezes up, clearly startled by her presence. Eins notices and looks back, puzzled. Someone asks what Eins is doing, and she flatly replies she is reading a grimoire, as if the answer were obvious. The stranger is surprised that Eins has a grimoire, though Eins clarifies it's just a copy. The stranger, a tall, imposing woman, steps closer and declares that Eins is not from this territory. Eins quickly defends herself, insisting she is not suspicious and that Evan and Sirica can vouch for her. The woman is outraged, declaring that in this territory, no one would dare speak those names so casually. Eins learns that Ta's village is no ordinary place. It has become a holy land in the northern Sania kingdom, home to a sacred mark. The woman reveals she is one of the knights protecting it, leaving Eins to wonder if Evan had become village chief in her absence. Eins stares blankly, visibly confused by everything she just heard. Out of patience, the knight draws her sword and threatens Eins. Unbothered, Eins calmly invokes an abridged incantation, clock clock, muttering that she doesn't quite understand the situation, but has no intention of getting hurt. The knight is surprised to learn Eins is a magic user despite carrying a sword. She dismisses the unfamiliar spell, confident that at this range her sword would be faster, but Eins flatly tells her that's impossible. In an instant, the knight's sword is gone, Eins having disarmed her with her spell, leaving the knight stunned and weaponless. The knight stands frozen, completely dumbfounded. The knight's sword lies planted in the ground at a distance, along with scattered debris. She can't even comprehend when it happened. The knight admits she slightly underestimated Eins, and Eins calmly suggests they simply talk things out peacefully. The knight threatens to fight barehanded, but quickly surrenders when Eins calmly notes that Ta's village no longer exists. The news visibly shaking the knight, who panics and begs to be let go. The knight desperately calls out to Eins, demanding to know if she knows anything about Ta's village. Eins confirms that the people of Ta's village took care of her before she secluded herself in the forest. The knight, piecing things together, asks for her name. Eins introduces herself fully, Eins Sylvitas, adding that she considers herself skilled enough at magic to call herself a sorcerer. The knight's mind races as the pieces fall into place. Eins asks if the knight is okay, startling her into a flustered, stammering reply that she is fine. The flustered knight addresses Eins respectfully and begs her to come along, insisting she isn't scary, but Eins flatly refuses, while the knight nervously admits Eins is now scary in a different way. Sophia formally introduces herself and asks Eins to meet her commander. Eins refuses and walks away. Sophia follows Eins into the bustling market, visibly amazed by the lively scene. Sophia marvels at the market goods, amazed by items she has never seen before. Eins remembers she hasn't had breakfast and notes Sophia must be hungry too, promising to accompany her later. Sophia, distracted by curiosity about the market, reluctantly follows. The two arrive before a large, imposing building. Sophia guides Eins inside, while Eins quietly notes how enormous the building is. Inside, a vast library stretches before them, filled with countless books and bustling with robed figures. Eins quietly wonders if she looks out of place, while Sophia tells her not to mind it. Sophia knocks and is told to enter, stepping inside with Eins close behind. A stern man at his desk looks up from his work, asking Sophia what she needs. The man is suddenly struck with shock, papers flying as he jolts up, seemingly recognizing Eins. Gauss bursts into celebration, completely misreading the situation and assuming Sophia finally brought home a boyfriend. Sophia threatens to sue him for harassment, while he enthusiastically orders a celebratory meal. Sophia firmly denies bringing a boyfriend, but Gauss teases her further, noting she sighs sadly every time a colleague gets married. Gauss turns serious, asking who Eins is, guessing a long-lost brother, while Sophia reminds him there was something she had asked him to prepare. A servant presents the finest breakfast, and Eins calmly requests dessert and coffee as well. Gauss watches in bewilderment as Eins cheerfully mentions coffee is her favorite, leaving him completely lost. Eins smiles and digs into her meal with enthusiasm. While Eins happily devours her meal, Sophia explains the situation to Gauss. Gauss listens quietly and takes it all in. Gauss admits he has no proof, but decides to put it to the test, rising from his seat with purpose. Gauss reveals something that shocks Sophia, while Eins swiftly catches it, her expression sharpening instantly. It is the original text, a mysterious and powerful grimoire. The original text is an ancient grimoire by the Silver Magus, containing the origins of all magic, so powerful that barely anyone can handle it, and the very reason Ains and the Silver Snow Knights exist. Gauss tells Sophia to keep quiet about it, acknowledging it's sacrilegious but the fastest way to verify Eins's identity. Gauss asks Eins if she knows the book. Still eating, she pauses and says she doesn't recall, but her expression betrays a flicker of recognition. Gauss warns Eins to be extra careful as he hands over the original text, noting that most people can't even hold it. Eins casually flips through the original text with ease, leaving Sophia completely stunned while Eins calmly nods in understanding. Gauss is stunned. Even he can barely turn a single page of the book. Eins calmly reveals that the original text is simply a collection of her old notes, leaving Gauss and Sophia completely speechless. Eins reveals the grimoire was just her old notes on useful magic, bound into a book by Sirica and left behind, her name written inside, the title in Sirica's handwriting. Gauss reads the name as Ain Silvata, the legendary Eins of the Silver Snow, said to stand at the pinnacle of sorcerers. Eins simply confirms it's her name, noting people often mispronounce it. Eins casually corrects an error in the grimoire, explaining that her name combines her birthplace, Sil Village, and Taz Village, which took care of her. Sophia completely breaks down in an overwhelming emotional outburst, leaving Gauss and Eins puzzled. Overcome with emotion, Sophia tearfully pledges her sword and her life to serve Eins. Eins tells Sophia she is scaring her, while Gauss watches in silence. Gauss is left with no doubt. Eins effortlessly opened and corrected the original text, making it even more powerful. He humbly requests her consideration. Gauss realizes Eins has transcended 2,000 years in the forest. She is none other than the legendary DEMIGOD, Eins of the Silver Snow herself. Gauss asks why Eins decided to leave the forest now, his only concern being that she seems to think only a few years have passed. Eins returns the book and explains she left the forest because she hit a dead end in her sorcery research. Gauss realizes Eins is referring to Saint Evan and Saint Sirica, both of whom passed away 2,000 years ago, and struggles with how to break the news to her. Eins calmly mentions she can't meet Evan and Sirica directly, asking Gauss to pass them a message, then announces she plans to head out on a journey. Gauss agrees to pass the message and suggests Eins rest and change her mood first before deciding where to head next. Sophia suggests the royal capital Kirk, home to a sorcery academy where aspiring sorcerers gather. Eins lights up, regretting she didn't go there instead of isolating in the forest, though Gauss quietly doubts there's anything left for her to learn there. Gauss offers travel funds and assigns Sophia as a guide. Sophia begs to come along while Eins insists it's unnecessary. Eins accepts the offer, and Gauss immediately orders Sophia to get ready at once. Gauss explains that the original text brought prosperity to their people, and urges Eins to use the funds freely, assuring her that Sophia will make the journey much more convenient. Eins strides forward with a rare, fierce smile. Magic and civilization are evolving every moment, and she intends to see it all. Eins and Sophia step out into the bustling city, ready to enjoy everything the world has to offer. Chapter 3 opens on a vast, open landscape as two small figures make their way across it. Eins addresses Sophia, referencing something she mentioned earlier. Eins asks if Sophia has significant influence in the royal capital Kirk. Sophia clarifies it's not her personally, but the Silver Snow Knights who hold influence there. Eins nods. Sophia explains that the Silver Snow Knights are highly valued for both beast subjugation and international conflicts, all thanks to the legacy of Eins of the Silver Snow. Eins listens quietly as Sophia reverently mentions her legendary name. Sophia hesitates nervously, struggling to find the right words. Eins asks blankly who that is. Sophia explains that Eins of the Silver Snow is a legendary sorcerer known as a demon god, famous throughout the world, and that Eins is that very person. Eins simply finds it amazing and quietly decides to keep a secret for now. Sophia nervously decides to change the subject, bringing up a problem she's been wondering about for a while. Eins casually discards the broken sword, admitting she pushed it too hard and will need a new one. Sophia remarks that a true swordsman would never treat a blade so carelessly. Eins casually offers to teach Sophia, same actor, sending her into an overwhelmed frenzy. The armored bear rises again, shocking both of them. Eins calmly confirms she defeated the bear, though its thick hide broke her sword. Sophia assumes it must have been a famous blade. Eins clarifies she was actually just worried about Sophia's reaction. Eins reveals the sword was just a cheap thing she picked up years ago, barely more than child's toy, leaving Sophia completely baffled. Sophia notices Eins's prosthetic arm, stunned as she realizes pure skill alone, with a toy sword, was what made it all possible. Eins defensively insists she's not suspicious, while Sophia's sarcasm goes completely over her head. Sophia lets it go, saying she'll forgive Eins for her cute face. Eins responds with indifference. Sophia asks what to do about the armored bear's body, but Eins simply tells her to leave it and move on. Sophia convinces Eins to take the bear's hide, explaining it's a highly sought material for armor and too valuable to leave behind. Eins agrees. Eins slices the bear apart in one clean sweep to harvest its hide. Sophia stares in wide-eyed disbelief. The hide vanishes into Eins's item box, which she made herself, leaving Sophia floored. Eins casually mentions she's broke, baffling Sophia even further. A new character appears, stunned, beginning to suspect Eins might be a sorcerer. The stranger urgently asks Eins for help, while Eins has a bad feeling about it, but gets dragged along anyway. The stranger introduces herself as Leica Brandy of the Ducal House of Brandy, explaining they are in the middle of a battle against a band of thieves. Leica explains there's one particularly troublesome opponent among the thieves, which is why she went looking for help. Sophia notes that capturing thieves should be the knight's job, but Leica says this one is different. Leica reveals the troublesome opponent is a sorcerer, while Eins mutters she'd rather be heading to Kirk. Leica admits that despite knowing a fair bit about magic herself, the sorcerer is using magic she has never seen before, clearly unsettling her. Eins perks up with sudden interest. Eins smirks with intrigue. Eins eagerly agrees to help. Sophia declares she is already fully devoted to Eins, so she has no objections. Eins introduces herself with a confident smirk, eager to see what unknown sorcery the enemy will show her. The three head toward the battle by a lakeside, as Leica reacts with surprise upon learning Sophia is from the Silver Snow Knights. Leica is impressed, saying she sensed something different about Sophia. Eins asks blankly if they're famous. Leica explains the Silver Snow Knights protect the holy land of the demon god Ains, praising their character, while Sophia desperately holds back from revealing that the very person Leica is talking to is Ains herself. Eins senses they are close. She can already hear the battlefield. Eins suddenly tenses up, sensing something. Eins asks Leica about the enemy sorcerer's magic. Leica explains he uses standard attack magic, fireballs, water balls, lightning, but there's also a mysterious magic she can't identify, and she can't make out his chanting. Leica describes the mysterious magic's effect. It completely restricts movement, preventing running, sword swings, and spell casting alike. Eins listens intently. Eins admits she doesn't know this magic either, quietly processing the detail about restricted sword movement. Leica asks if Eins can use healing magic. Eins says it's not her specialty, but she's decent at it, relieving Leica. Leica reveals their healing potions ran out quickly. Eins goes quiet, something clearly catching her attention. As the three approach, a wounded figure on the ground desperately pleads for help. Eins kneels close to the wounded figure, examining them. A bloodied child desperately begs Eins to save their sister. Eins goes silent. Chapter 4 opens with Eins assessing the child's wound as too deep, reluctantly using her precious potions while also wanting to conserve her magic power, even if healing magic would help. The child desperately begs to be taught healing magic, but Eins bluntly tells them it's no use. They have no talent for it. The child falls silent. Eins notes the child has a talent for sorcery instead and offers to teach them, stunning everyone present. Eins hands Sophia her homemade potions, tells her and Leica to go ahead, and promises to catch up, leaving the overwhelmed child in stunned gratitude. Sophia drags a bewildered Leica forward as Eins turns to the child with a calm smile, ready to begin the lesson. The child admits they're good at magic, but asks about the difference between magic and sorcery. Eins explains she is training to be a sorcerer. Eins explains that magic means using power to cause natural laws and phenomena, requiring a lot of magic power, which is mostly determined at birth. She notes bluntly that the child has almost none. Eins pauses with a sharp look, but there's more to it. Eins defines sorcery as interfering with the world using laws and phenomena that do not exist in nature, and hints that what's needed for it is something different entirely. Eins states that sorcery requires two things: the strength of one's wish and a price. Eins explains that since the child has no magic power, yet wants to change their dying sister's fate, she will require a strict pact as the price. The child accepts and gives their name, Reet. Eins formally invokes the pact, declaring that she, the sorcerer Eins Sylvitas, will impart the knowledge of sorcery to Reet. Eins accepts the name with quiet resolve. Eins invokes her sorcery, limited release, miraculous right arm. A blinding light emanates from Eins's arm as Reet watches in awe. Sophia senses the battle growing closer, notes the potions are only enough for first aid on a few people, and tells Leica to use them on the wounded while she holds off the enemy sorcerer. Sophia takes a hit, muttering "idiot" under her breath. Battered but resolute, Sophia pushes forward. They'll just have to do what they can. The battlefield comes into full view, chaos and destruction everywhere, with soldiers scattered and overwhelmed amid the devastation. Leica points out the black-robed sorcerer in the distance, exactly as Sophia had heard. Leica confirms it. The soldiers' movements are already restricted by the sorcerer's mysterious magic. The black-robed sorcerer smirks beneath his hood as Leica steels herself and charges forward. The thieves leer at Leica as she approaches, while Sophia watches with cold contempt. Leica dispatches the thieves instantly, leaving them scattered and defeated as she calmly reads a book. Leica orders everyone to be treated immediately, while a stunned soldier marvels at the Silver Snow Knight's skill. Leica rushes forward with sword drawn. The enemy sorcerer introduces himself as Callbelly, the sorcerer of restraint, noting Sophia seems on a different level from the others. While Sophia questions why someone so skilled follows a suspicious sorcerer like him, Callbelly launches his abridged incantation, Fire Lance 5, unleashing a volley of fiery projectiles. Sophia deflects the fire lances with her blade in a swift, precise counterattack. Callbelly activates his restraint magic. Sophia's movements suddenly lock up mid-charge. Callbelly notices Sophia's anti-magic sword, curious to test his magic against it. Sophia stands her ground defiantly, inviting Callbelly to come at her. Meanwhile, Leica distributes the potions to the wounded, apologizing that there's only a little for each. Eins arrives and pulls an endless supply of potions from her item box leather bag, leaving everyone baffled, the soldiers declaring both Eins and the bag national treasures. The soldiers are stunned. Eins's potions fully restore them in a single sip, leaving everyone in disbelief. The soldiers realize the potions are high-grade, made by Eins herself. Reinvigorated, Leica rallies everyone for a counterattack, while Callbelly prepares his next abridged incantation. Callbelly fires Fire Lance at Sophia, who dodges swiftly. Sophia closes in on Callbelly, declaring that no matter how much he increases his attack, it's still useless against her. Callbelly sizes Sophia up, dismissively calling her a country bumpkin. Sophia says nothing. Sophia corrects him coldly. The name is Silver Snow Knights. Callbelly curses the Eternal Witch for spreading copies of the original text, blaming her for giving people dangerous ideas. Callbelly reveals he is a member of the Star of the Era, boasting that his sorcery was inherited entirely from Ain's original text. Callbelly begins a formal incantation Sophia has never heard before. She resolves to stop him before it activates. Callbelly smirks as he completes his incantation. Running is a loss. Sophia is suddenly frozen in place. Callbelly's restraint sorcery takes hold before she can reach him. Callbelly adds another layer. Getting up is a loss, forcing Sophia to the ground as she struggles in pain. Callbelly adds swinging a sword is a loss, stripping away Sophia's last option as she desperately tries to keep her arms moving. Callbelly unleashes Fire Lance 20 at the immobilized Sophia, a devastating barrage bearing down on her defenseless form. Sophia is struck down and sent crashing to the ground as Callbelly sneers, calling her nothing but a country ape. Leica cries out in horror. Leica rushes to Sophia and forces a potion down her throat, while Callbelly watches with mild curiosity. Eins arrives and heals Sophia instantly, leaving Leica stunned. Callbelly is baffled by the endless potions. Reinvigorated, Sophia commands her units to surround Callbelly and provide magic support. Callbelly counters with cooperation is a loss, instantly disrupting the coordinated assault. The entire unit freezes simultaneously, unable to act, Callbelly's restraint magic working perfectly. The soldiers begin attacking each other, unable to distinguish friend from foe under Callbelly's spell. The unit collapses in chaos, cries of pain filling the air as allies fall at each other's hands. Callbelly fires another Fire Lance 20, dismissively telling them to just keep healing with their potions, while Sophia grimly notes how troublesome he is. Eins clenches her hand, preparing to transmit the knowledge of sorcery directly into Reet's mind. Eins gently places her hand on Reet's head, warning it might feel a little unpleasant. Eins's eye glows as she begins the transfer, murmuring "good boy" to Reet. Eins gently places her glowing hand on Reet's head, silently fulfilling their pact by transferring the knowledge of sorcery into the child's mind. Eins finishes the transfer, hands clasped together, calmly confirming that Reet now understands everything. Reet invokes their first sorcery, limiter release, charity by plunder, as Eins watches with a sharp, satisfied eye. A massive surge of energy erupts around Reet and Eins as the sorcery activates, engulfing them both in a violent, swirling force. Eins reaches out and gently touches Reet's head, visibly startled by something she senses. Reet holds their sister tenderly as a warm light envelopes her, the sorcery working, slowly restoring her life. Reet cries out in triumph. The sister's wounds are fully healed. Eins watches quietly from distance. Eins thanks Reet, revealing that the sorcery's stolen magic power from the surroundings to use for healing, a sight she found truly wonderful. Reet insists it is they who should be grateful. A sudden loud noise startles them both. Something is approaching fast. Eins tenses, sensing that time itself has stopped. A mysterious voice echoes through the frozen world, addressing Eins as one who has touched the principles of the world. A colossal hand descends from above as the voice issues a divine decree, forbidding something for the rest of Eins's life. The decree is completed. Eins is forbidden from ever causing harm to others, as a dark, ominous eye looms beside her trembling figure. Time resumes. Eins stands still, quietly informing a shocked Reet that they accepted the pact and its consequences. Eins calmly explains that she has been forbidden from harming others for the rest of her life, and that a sorcerer who breaks their pact dies easily. Eins fixes Reet with a serious gaze, warning them never to teach this sorcery to anyone else. A tense silence follows, the atmosphere heavy with the weight of Eins's warning. Eins and Reet look out toward the battlefield, where the fight against Callbelly still rages in the distance. Callbelly, growing impatient, decides to finish the battle once and for all. Callbelly dismisses the idea of running out of magic power and coldly declares he is done holding back. Callbelly smirks, unconcerned about revealing anything, since none of them will survive anyway. Sophia and Leica exchange a tense glance. If Callbelly is truly running low on magic power, surviving long enough may be their only strategy. Sophia deduces that Callbelly's endless supply of magic is fueled by magic stones he carries. Callbelly openly confirms it, unbothered, casually holding up a document as if the revelation means nothing to him. A massive surge of power erupts around Callbelly, leaving Sophia stunned and struggling to comprehend what she's witnessing. Callbelly reveals he possesses a fragment of the original text itself, and warns that reading it carelessly would drive a person mad. Sophia understands. The original text is the source of his inexhaustible magic power. Callbelly begins a formal incantation, smugly telling them they can die without regrets. Callbelly unleashes Fire Lance 50, a devastating volley twice the size of anything before, raining down upon the group like a storm of destruction. Just in time, Eins arrives on the battlefield with a calm apology for being late. Sophia and Leica react with relief at Eins's arrival. Callbelly, unbothered, sizes her up and coldly asks if she wants to die alongside the others. Eins introduces herself with complete composure, then casually tells Callbelly to put away his dangerous magic. Eins snaps her fingers, her tone leaving no room for argument. She means immediately. Callbelly's composure shatters completely, his face twisting in shock and disbelief. Sophia swoons in admiration, gushing over how cool Eins is, while Leica watches in bewildered confusion. Callbelly crumbles in panic, unable to comprehend what just happened. His magic was hijacked in a single instant, and he struggles to grasp whether it was nullified or stolen by another spell. Callbelly assumes Eins is a magic user like him, but she calmly corrects him. She is a sorcerer, not a mage. Sophia connects the dots, realizing Eins is the very sorcerer Leica had been searching for. Eins greets Callbelly pleasantly, unbothered by the tension. Eins smirks with gleaming eyes, eagerly demanding that Callbelly show her everything his sorcery can do. A new chapter begins, preparing for the journey. With the battle settled, Eins wastes no time, ordering Sophia to get ready immediately while the momentum is on their side. Callbelly, now subdued, watches in silence as Eins calls out to Sophia, who hums cheerfully nearby. Sophia points out that Eins is still using that terribly cheap sword and suggests presenting Callbelly with a more suitable one as a gift. Sophia laughs nervously, while Eins flatly shoots down the idea. Callbelly acknowledges the sword looks crude, but suspects Eins has her reasons for it, and concedes that suggesting she replace it is not something he could ever do. Sophia sizes up Callbelly's build and figures his sword style would suit Eins well, entrusting him with the duty of protecting her. Sophia reacts with starry-eyed excitement at the idea, while Eins responds with flat indifference, saying it's all the same to her. Sophia presents Eins with the official sword of the Silver Snow Knights. Eins, mildly surprised to be receiving such a gift, accepts it without complaint. Sophia spirals into an ecstatic fantasy, gushing about all the matching items she and Eins will share. Toothbrushes, pillows, clothes, coffee cups. Eins dryly questions whether one pillow wouldn't be enough, which only sends Sophia into further delight. Sophia thrusts a toothbrush at Eins with overwhelming enthusiasm, insisting she take it, trivial as it may be, as a first step toward their shared life together. Eins flatly turns down the toothbrush, saying Sophia scared her off, sending Sophia into a wail of despair from inside the house.